Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Teeks and Takedowns, episode 5. We got a great show planned ahead for you. We got our segments back. We're going to go over the fights this week. But let's first start in recapping the pay-per-view. I think it was a week and a half ago now. I'll start us off, and you can describe this as the Rocky theme song. I mean, this was all Leon Edwards, the comeback story, the real-life Rocky movie. I was listening to the Rocky music all last week in the gym. I PR'd twice to the Rocky theme song. Unbelievable buzz. Gonna be honest, was not too high on Leon before the fight, but he stole my heart during it. The card was a little disappointing until the final two fights, but the final two fights delivered very much. It turned out to be a great card because of it. I'd like to pose a question. Is that the most shocking moment in MMA? We have Pena winning. We have a bunch of upsets, Matt Serra, but Usman was winning the entire fight until the last moment of it. In the last minute, Edwards came out of legit nowhere. The announcers were writing him away. Me and Paul are watching it together, pretty much sad that he was never going to get another title shot. We were saying as it happened, one of the most insane moments I've seen in MMA. The card was good when you have that buzz going the next day. And this one, I had the buzz going for a couple days. I'm not sure if it was going to ever end. So it was going to be a great card. Had some Monday motivation that week for sure. All of my Fry picks cashed last week. They're Paulo to have crazy tweets, Matt Serra's voice, and Whitman to tell Usman to use his jab in the corner. They all cashed. I wish my real bets would have cashed. I care more about those. They were absolutely awful. Absolutely awful. Rockle and Costa was such a fun fight to watch. They all really put it both all on the line. Luke had some cardio issues. I'm not sure how he got out of all 3 rounds in that fight. He had his hands on his knees the whole time. Paulo Costa, swing at him. Please do something. You could be thinking it was the Derek Lewis move where fake you're tired and throw the right hand bomb on the way in. But I think he was genuinely tired. His nose was broken in the first round. He was at altitude. He's getting a little bit older. And Paulo Costa comes away with the decision victory. Luke Rockholt retires afterwards. It's sad to see him go, but I really think it's a good thing for him. I think retirements too late in MMA are always sad, which moves us into Merab and Aldo. Merab out-wrestled Aldo for 15 minutes, put on the pressure, and it looked like Aldo was pretty much just trying to use his takedown defense, not really using a lot of offense, which poses the question, do we want to see Aldo retire? I still think he has a ton in his tank. He has some great fights, but I'm not sure if he has a championship run left. And watching people on the way out of MMA, especially the legends, can be very sad. I'd like to hear your take on the card last week, Paul.
Yeah, that was a great event. Pretty solid prelims. Amazing finish by Leon Edwards. Kamaru was controlling that fight with power, his cardio, his pressure, his clinching, his elbows, his knees, takedowns, bunch of beautiful takedowns he scored. He even had one takedown where he almost faked the level change and then just sat there in the fake for a minute and then actually shot in and got the takedown. And it was funny. It looked like a video game glitch. Other than that, Leon exposed his defense. Usman went to parry the left hand. Instead, he got the left kick right on the side of his dome, and that was it. There goes his title as quick as that. One mistake can ruin your whole title reign. That's why you can't really blame guys like Stylebender who kind of take it easy in that last minute of a fight. They're easily winning. I'm excited for the trilogy, but I was really rooting for Kamaru here just because I wanted Usman versus Chimaev immediately, because I'm not sure how much Usman has left in the sport, how many fights he has left. I think maybe 2 to 3 maximum. Guy's knees are fucked beyond belief. He can barely walk or run. He does swimming for cardio. I mean, he's in great shape, but I don't know how much longer that ETO can keep him going. I was super hyped for the Rockhold Costa fight. I thought it was a good matchup. I think these fights, you saw a lot of the guys on the card get tired. Obviously, when you have a broken nose and you're at altitude, you're going to get tired insanely quickly. But it didn't stop Luke Rockhold from trying to win that fight. He was landing bombs on Costa. he landed the better strikes in round 2 and round 3. It's just he got controlled on the ground a bit, and just that type of body language doesn't fly with the judges. There was one point he spammed like the same body kick 3 times in a row, and it was hilarious. And they all landed like pretty flush. Costa looked all right, but honestly, I was not really impressed with him at all. He pushed the pressure, but he didn't really do much with it. You know, the one time he tried to do his signature, like go to the body, he uppercutted Luke Rockhold in the dick so hard it made me cringe, and then tried to claim after the fight that he won by knockout. So that was interesting. As far as guys on the prelims that really impressed me, Ange Loosa impressed me. You know, I actually had a bet on him, like one of my few bets of the night. And there was really no good reason behind it. I was like, oh, he had a good fight with Jack Della. Jack Della is someone I'm super high on. So I was like, I'll take him versus Fletcher. He had amazing jab straight, great hand speed, great wrestling defense. Went for some opportunistic submissions. He looked great there in that spot. I'm excited for his future. And in terms of the Romanov-Tybura fight, a lot of people up in air like, oh, that should be a 10-8 round 1. I get it, but because of the striking differential. But Romanov, like, even though he was hitting him with a repeated hammer fist, he wasn't really as close to finishing him as people were acting. Not super high on Romanov. I picked Tybura to win. I don't know if he should have. I maybe have to rewatch that, but I'm never rewatching it, to be honest with you. And heavyweights just still suck for the most part. Like outside of that top 10, they're just not really talented. They don't have that well-rounded skill set. And I know it's harder for them because they're bigger. They don't have as much fast twitch muscle, and MMA doesn't have a lot of the same caliber athletes as other sports. But they're not as well-rounded or as skilled as those bantamweights. And in the jiu-jitsu part, I guess they can't move like them. So I guess that's part of it, but it's not my favorite division. And most of my bets came from like prize picks, which I did horrible on. I had under in the Tybura Romanov fight, like under 7 minutes, under 5 minutes in the Costa Rockhold, and then under 4 minutes in some other fight. And of course, somehow the Costa Rockhold and Romanov Tybura ones didn't hit, but the other one did. So I got kind of left on my own there. All right. So now that we're done with that recap of UFC 278, we're going to talk about the One Championship card over the weekend a little bit. This was on Prime Video. And this was an amazing event, in my opinion. One's been kind of putting on silent bangers for about like a year and a half. You know, you're at work on Friday or you're just chilling, doing nothing. You go on YouTube and you would just see One Championship stream out of nowhere for no reason because they're in Singapore or whatever. They're broadcasting early, but they moved to Amazon Prime, and I really like this move for them. This was their first event on there. I thought the stream was super easy to access. You could like rewind to watch finishes over and stuff like that. Commentary was pretty good. They picked a great showcase of fighters to have on there, like DJ, Liam Harrison, Nongo, and they did want to have Rodtang on the card, but there were some issues with him like missing weight and not hydrating properly, so they pulled him, put this Pompayak guy on the card. Amazing performance by DJ. Through 3 rounds, I was kind of just like, I think Moraes is going to win a decision here because he's looking like the bigger, stronger guy. But DJ put in a lot of work in that clinch with knees to the body, body shots, as well as making Moraes work on the ground, which kind of expended a lot of energy. And he also landed some nice roundhouse kicks to the body. But he got a beautiful finish, ducking under that the straight by Moraes, I believe, landing his own straight over the top, and then timing that knee perfectly, waiting for him to get back to the fence, throwing the lead knee. It was beautiful. He also used great defensive Brazilian jiu-jitsu and get-ups. He was constantly going for triangles, arm bars, even though like you see a lot of fighters when they're the worst grappler, they don't go for that stuff. You know, a lot of guys would be like, oh, I'm with Adriano Moraes, who's like such a high level black belt, I'm not going to go for that. But DJ made sure he was always a threat, or he was always trying to get up, made it hard for Moraes, which won him the fight, in my opinion. Muay Thai in 4-ounce gloves is amazing. One of the best sports ever created. Whoever thought of that as a sicko, but I'm here for it, and it brings violence every time. I was super excited for the Nongo Harrison fight. Like, it was kind of a mismatch on paper, but Harrison's one of the better non-Thai Muay Thai fighters. But ultimately, you know, he took too many leg kicks and his knee gave out. Sad to see that because he's a little bit older, and I would like to see him turn around, but obviously he's going to have to heal that injury. As far as Nongo, he looked great. I mean, you could put him in a bunch of fights in that division. And then in terms of other guys on the card, Pompayak looked good, as well as Superlek. They both had great finishes. And Christian Lee, earlier in the day, they had a 1 card as well. He's a lightweight. He won back his lightweight title. He previously lost by a controversial decision. He had a good finish with down knees, so I was impressed with that. And I'm super excited for more of these cards and excited to see what One Championship can do.
Yeah, I mean, One Championship, every time I watch it, it's a great event. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of finishes. DJ's finish was unbelievable. He claims back his loss. I was so happy to see it happen, the legend that he is. I did miss the KO at first, and it's one of the most upset I've ever been. I had my own bout with a bug, insane amount of legs. Had to get rid of it, moving stuff around in the basement, came out of a corner. I did get a first round KO via bug poison, but I did come back to my phone saying, wow, did you see that? Holy shit, holy shit. And then what did I miss? It was DJ with the flying knee finish, dead body on the ground, great setup. I watched it maybe 100 times. Unbelievable slip into the straight, which rocked him into the flying knee onto the fence. One FC, as I said, produces great shows every single time I watch it. Muay Thai, unbelievably fun to watch. I never know who any of them are, the most insane names, but it's always a great time to watch. I believe there was a guy with an actual number 9 in his name on this card.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane names. But, even if you don't like fighting, you can watch it for the names. But it was a great event.
Yeah. Quick aside on that. So I was all week sending my boys who either aren't into fighting or just kind of casually watch it. I was like, dude, there's some guy fighting with a 9 in his name. So I was just on YouTube researching the fights, and I guess the reason is fighters will take their first name or some nickname and they'll just put their gym name after it. So his gym name has a 9 in it. But I thought it was the guy's conceived born name for a minute. I was like, who does he come from that has a 9 in their last name? So that was hilarious.
Yep, that is good to watch. All right, so let's move into our smoke break fights this week. Our smoke break fights, if you don't know what they are, these are the fights that if you gotta miss one on the card, this is the one we believe to miss. Go get your smoke break in, get some snacks, whatever you need to do. My pick this week, I'm gonna go Edgar versus Perez. I actually have no idea who Perez is. It's her UFC debut. I'm going to be honest. It's the first fight of the night. So get your smoke break right in. Edgar, her last time out, she tapped in the second round and then refused to say that she tapped, which is an all-time scumbag move. Don't want to be participating in watching her. So also the second time that Edgar has seen my smoke break fight of the week. It's crazy that Perez picture, they couldn't even get her in an actual fighting picture. It's a bikini picture on vacation on Tapology. So that really shows me her skill level.
Yeah. So shout out Stephanie Egger. She was fighting a Brazilian opponent, but she did the old Brazilian tap. No, I didn't tap. I swear. But even though I probably concur with you that is my smoke break fight of the week, and I'll most likely be fucking smoking during it, for the interest of the show, I picked another fight. I picked Dustin Stoltzfus versus Absupian Magomedov. How did I pronounce that right? No one will ever know. But the reason I picked this is because I have watched every single one of Stoltzfus' fights, including his Dana White Contender Series fight, and I have no idea how he fights. I don't know his style. I don't know what he's good at. He doesn't win often. He got submitted by GM3, had another submission loss in the UFC. He won on the Contender Series against Joe Pyfer, who is a big name on the Contender Series this year because he broke Pyfer's arm on a slam or something. So that was his ticket in the UFC, which is kind of oh, that's kind of lucky. Not really sure how he fights. I know he likes to make it Midwestern tough. He might not even be from the Midwest of the United States, but he just gets in there, clinches against the cage a bit, goes for his inside-outside trips, likes to throw knees against the cage. His striking's really slow. I saw some clips of Magomedov. That guy has fast striking, fast twitch striking, good kicks. You may think of him as a Russian, grapple variant, but he is the Zabit striking variant, as we like to refer to them on this show. But I'm gonna actually be probably most likely leaning towards Stoltzfus here. I think you can really Stoltzfus this fight up and take Magomedov down, get it in the clinch, make it greasy against the UFC debutant. and probably win a boring, lackluster decision. He did look good his last time out, but it was against Dwight Grant, who was like a 155er earlier in his career and a 170er, and he's a 185er, so he's just big brother Grant in the later rounds. All right. And now we'll be moving into the main event of UFC Fight Night Paris. Super excited for this one. Cyril Gane, Bon Hamin versus Tai Bam Bam Tuivasa. We got Cyril coming in at -550 and Tai Tuivasa at +400. Those are insane odds for a heavyweight fight, but I love Cyril Gane. I was all over this guy before his fight with Francis. I was like, oh, he's just going to make Francis look like a fool on the feet. And then fight night comes around, I'm convinced to bet Francis, and Francis becomes D1 Francis. I don't know how that happens, but it does. MMA is a crazy sport. He's a late starter to MMA. Like he mostly played like soccer, basketball growing up. He started Muay Thai at 23, and he was very good. I believe undefeated in Muay Thai, but he switched to MMA because that's where the dollar is at. Got a UFC title shot at 31, came up short, extremely close fight. He went for a heel hook with top position, which is a no-no, especially in the 5th round of a championship fight. You do not do that, even if you think you can get the finish. This guy has insane physical attributes. 6'4", 83-inch reach, some of the best in the division. He uses it well. He has great distance management, great sense of range. His jab, his teep kicks, his stomps to the knee, karate side kicks. Even in the fight versus Ngannou, he landed like a spinning heel kick. In addition to that, he also used some like Muay Thai techniques, like knees in the clinch, elbows against the cage, chopping round kicks. I really think he's like probably the best technical striker in the heavyweight division. He outclassed Volkov on the feet, Jairzinho. He knocked out Junior Dos Santos brutally, which everyone does these days, but hey, that's still an impressive win to me. And I think, the big thing for Tai Tuivasa is I just don't think he's as cerebral a fighter as Cyril Gane. I think Cyril Gane can mix in takedowns here if he really wants to. He's definitely going to be the better grappler. He can mix in work in the clinch. He can jab from range, kick from range. I think this line's honestly fair, and I think he probably finishes high in like the 4th round with some knees to the midsection, and Tai goes down.
Yeah, this is a very, very hard matchup for Tuivasa. Big fan of the Nelk guy myself, but it's going to be tough for him. He's at a huge reach disadvantage. Cyril Gane's footwork is unbelievable for a heavyweight. But watching the Nelk man drink out of a shoe over a dead body always makes me so happy. I expect Cyril to pick him apart from the outside here, avoid all the big shots from Tai. But however, this is the heavyweight division. I mean, anything can happen. We've seen a lot of big heavyweight underdogs win recently just because it's just a one-punch division. Deontay Wilder, great eraser. Nothing matters before that punch. I expect a Cyril 2nd or 3rd round finish, but I'm excited to see if Tai can do something to pull this off. And if he does, I might figure out a way to do a shoey on the next week's episode. So stay tuned for that if that happens.
Hey, that would be exciting. All right, well, moving into the next fight. And honestly, to me, this is the more compelling matchup on the card. And to me, why isn't this the main? Like, I get because they're going to Paris, why Cyril Gane's the main event. But this is a good fight, and I'm not even super high on the middleweight division. But we have Robert the Reaper Whittaker versus Marvin the Italian Dream Vettori. I mean, these are some world-class fighters, in my opinion, especially Whittaker. A lot of Robert Whittaker fans like to insist that he won the 2nd Israel Adesanya fight. In my opinion, there's no chance he won that fight. He had a little back control here and there. He tried to mix in his wrestling. He didn't have great success with it. He got outstruck on the feet, outpointed, leg kick, body kick. I really don't get how people think he won that fight. Robert Whittaker fans can be some of the worst fans in MMA. Because he's such a nice guy. How can you not like him? So his fans love to get defensive, but he's one of the best middleweights of all time. Like, if you're looking at the greatest middleweights of all time, it's probably like skill-wise, it's probably Anderson, Izzy, him, and Weidman. Like, you can interchange where you put each of them, but that's got to be the list. I think skill-wise, he's definitely better than Weidman. And you could compare him, Silva, and Izzy. Like, Silva has a duration, but he didn't have the best level of competition. and he had some holes in his game. And in my opinion, he's had a lot of trouble with mental health issues. He mentioned before the first Israel fight that kept him laid off for almost 2 years. And he also had a bunch of injuries to his knee from Yoel Romero, stomping his knee in. Those were 2 amazing fights where he showed great takedown defense as well as just great striking versus prime Yoel Romero. I really like his style. He has cool karate kicks, good boxing, great wrestling and wrestling defense, and he has very solid Brazilian jiu-jitsu. In this fight, he is at a half-inch reach disadvantage, coming in at 73.5 versus 74 inches, but that's not going to be a massive difference. You know, it'll probably be pretty even in terms of distance management and which guy's trying to control the range. He loves to step in with like he'll almost throw a jab right from his hip, like almost sort of like an uppercut up the middle, followed by his right hand and that right kick, and it is so quick. He caught so many people with this. Derek Brunson, Jacare, Jared Cannonier. He broke Jared Cannonier's arm with that kick and knocked him down. But Marvin Vettori, this guy's made out of iron. You know, it's almost impossible to hurt this guy. In that Paulo Costa fight, he took so many crazy shots to the body, head kicks, really showed his durability. He's out of King's MMA, which is a solid gym. He has good wrestling, good chin, great cardio, solid Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and good defensive boxing. His last victory was Paulo Costa. Thought he won that fight pretty decisively. He had amazing forward pressure in it, looked good. Whitaker's last fight, competitive, loss to Adesanya. And before that, one-sided fight against Kelvin Gastelum, where he really looked phenomenal. Like, that was the best Robert Whitaker's probably ever looked. I'm going to go with the upset pick of Marvin Vettori. My reasoning is just he's a little younger. He's got some momentum. And I know Whitaker's like not anywhere out of his prime and he looks good, but his durability has been an issue in the past. Got dropped in that last fight against Izzy, got knocked out by Izzy in that other fight. In the first fight, got hurt by Cannonier, and you know, dropped by Darren Till as well, which people forget. But I don't see Vettori knocking him out or anything. I just see Vettori pressuring forward, mixing in a couple takedowns, maybe some clinch work, and winning a probably competitive 29-28 decision.
Yeah. I just want to start this off with, what realm do I live in where Harry Hunsucker is on a pay-per-view, but this is going to be a high-level fight for sure. I'm not sure how this is even a co-main. I think this could take the main event here, but they are friends. I'm a big fan of Robert Whitaker. You know, he's a great dude, puts on great fights. I think Marvin has a clinch advantage and maybe a little bit of a pressure advantage, but I think Bobby is way more technical, more crisp, has more experience, and I think he has a little bit more power as well. I think Bobby will pull out a greasy win here. He's at a minus 230 right now. I don't think I see value in that line. I actually think I see value on Marvin, even though I'm going to pick Bobby to win in the decision.
Yeah, I respect that pick. Great points outlined. All right, so just quickly dragging this over. So we are going to be talking about Nasruddin Imavov, the 12th ranked middleweight in the world at the moment, versus Joaquin Buckley. I think this is a pretty good fight, pretty interesting, and it gives Joaquin Buckley a chance to, you know, further his career and get into the rankings. This guy loves promoting himself. He's pretty good at it. He has one of the best knockouts of all time. Imavov coming off a brutal win over Edmund Shabazian. He dominated that fight, looked good in the striking department, mixed in wrestling, and then just at like one of the most violent finishes I've seen in a while, where he was just in the crucifix, landing elbows. Edmund was all cut up. Talk about a young guy who's taken so much damage his past 3 fights in Edmund Shabazian. He has great Muay Thai, good striking, mixes in he really just has a great all-around MMA game. Whereas Joaquin Buckley, this guy is a striker. He's coming off a 3-round decision win against Abdullah Razak Hassan. God, that was awful. Where he mixed in some takedowns, used his striking, and a lot of takedown defense. people were like, oh, this fight's going to be a banger. But there was a lot of grappling in that fight, and it wasn't bad grappling, but it was just surprising. I think they're trying to give Imavov a big win in France against a name that people know. He's a great fighter. He's young, 26, got a lot of potential in this division. But Buckley has the craziness factor, the fuck you power. I can end this fight at any second that Imavov doesn't really have. But I really like Imavov minus 250. I think he's the better technician on the feet and will probably win a 30-27 decision here.
Yeah, I agree. Buckley does have one of the coolest kicks to ever land in MMA. And if you're asking me, I think it is the coolest one ever. He's 3-1 in his last 4. He's on a pretty good run. Buckley, that is. He has great power, great stand-up. Does have some cardio issues, but that's what comes with great power. I think Imavov has the advantage in this fight, especially on the ground. I believe that he can get him to the ground and use some ground and pound to get a finish in either the second or the third. But if you were to bet Buckley here, I wouldn't hate a sprinkle on KO. So I think that's the only way that he can get it done in this fight.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving into another fight, we got Nasrat Haqparast versus John Makdessi. And this is an intriguing matchup because UFC has been trying to push Nasrat Haqparast for a while. He's a young fighter, 27 years old, out of Afghanistan, which is a region where you don't really see too many promising fighters. He's got good boxing. He was training at a TriStar for a while. He might still be there, which was a good gym, so that's why there was a lot of hype on him. His last time out, he lost to Bobby Green, wide decision. He lost every round, but he got pretty beat up in that fight by Bobby Green's jab and straight right hand, or when Bobby Green was switching southpaw, his left hand. But this guy's tough. Like, he will make it the whole way unless you're Drew Dober and you have that fuck you power in the lightweight division and can put him out. But the time before that, he lost to Dan Hooker. He lost 30-26. He got dominated, lost in the wrestling, lost in the striking, lost in the grappling. It seems like every time that Haqparast takes a step up in competition, he loses. He can beat the lower end guys like Rafa Garcia, as well as Alex Munoz. But when he takes that step up, he usually loses. I really rate John Makdessi. This is a weird fight because they're both fighting at a TriStar gym. I'm not sure if that's still the case or if someone has made a camp change for this fight. But Makdessi's last fight was in 2020, I believe, against Ignacio Bahamondes, who's a really good prospect, coming off spinning heel kick knockout. It was a split decision, but it was not a split decision. He won that fight. He won that fight convincingly. He marked up Bahamondes with his jab and his right hand. He's been in the UFC since 2010, and his most recent loss is Trinaldo, who a couple of years ago, Trinaldo was a serious problem in the lightweight division. He's had some serious knee issues and other issues that have kept him out from competing. I think at an underdog price of plus 190, I'm going to be taking John Makdessi here. It says plus 170 on Tapology, but I saw plus 190 earlier in the day. So I think I really like the underdog in the spot.
Gonna have to disagree with that one, but I was very high on Nasrat before the Dan Hooker fight. I was actually even believed that he was going to win that fight. Unfortunately, he did not, and he also struggled to win against Bobby Green. As you said, I feel like when he comes up in a step in competition, he really does struggle. But I don't think this is a step up, to be honest, with many of his wins. He has a 4-inch reach advantage. He's 10 years younger. And I think he can get it done here. Let's see if I can hit one of these on the podcast. I think I'm 0 for 2 right now on these parlays. But I'm going to throw this one out there. The Nasrat and Imanov parlay gets you to even money. And I think I'm going to go with that this week, see how that one turns out. I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm 0 for 2 on the parlays. But hopefully we can get one in here this week.
I don't hate that parlay. I mean, it's not bad. The reach advantage, the age advantage, you like to see that if you're putting a guy in a parlay as a heavy favorite. So I don't hate it. But moving on to the next fight, this is an amazing fight. I mean, talk about fucking fight. This could be a fight like first fight on a pay-per-view, and I wouldn't be mad, or a prelim headliner on a pay-per-view. You got Charles Jourdain versus Nathaniel the Prospect Wood. When you're 29 years old, I don't know if you can be using the Prospect as your nickname anymore. You're not a prospect. You have like 6 or 7 wins in the UFC. You're a full-blown professional fighter now. Get that out of your nickname. On the other hand, Charles Air Jourdain is one of the best nicknames ever. Both turning around quick. Nathaniel Wood fought on UFC London against Charles Rosa. Dominating performance, looked great in that spot. Charles Jourdain last fought on UFC Long Island, and he had a decent performance. Many believe he won that fight, or at the very worst, it was a draw. Shane Burgos ended up getting the win and securing the bag with PFL because of that, so shout out him for that. This is at 145, and so it should be relatively easy for Nathaniel Wood to make. Jourdain making this on short notice, I don't think it will be an issue, but it could be. The line is currently sitting at Jourdain minus 135, Wood plus 115. And I think that's about accurate. Like, this is a tough matchup for me to get a read on. Charles Jourdain, this guy's a wild man. He's a killer be killed fighter. Like, he's coming to finish you, or he is most likely getting finished. Great Muay Thai striking. He has some Taekwondo kicks. Nasty guillotine he got Lando Venato with, who's a very good fighter, very hard fighter to finish. And he has decent boxing. Not the best boxing. He's very defensively vulnerable. You can catch this guy for sure. But his biggest weakness is an opponent wrestling, and I don't really see that here. Nathaniel Wood's a great technical striker, good boxer, good low kicks. Trains with Jonathan Haggerty, who fights for one championship, great Muay Thai fighter. He's been knocked out a couple times in the UFC, once by John Dodson, so that is a concern. He was also chin-checked pretty badly in Cage Warriors. As I said, great low kicks, amazing speed and boxing, but his speed in this division is going to be a serious problem because he's faster than most of the guys coming up from 135. But in this fight, he still is equal on the reach, so that's interesting. Jourdain does have a 3-inch height advantage, so maybe that will allow him to employ kicks a little bit. And it's crazy that this guy, Charles Jourdain, is only 26 years old. He's about to be 27, but he has a lot of time to fix his holes in his game. And he's almost at that top 15 level. One could argue like he's even in that top 15 level if you think he beat Burgos. Wood's 29. You know, this is a big fight for him. He wins this, he's going towards the rankings. He's going towards some big fights. So I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, this fight is a guaranteed banger here. If we were doing our sleeper fights of the night, I'm sure me and you would be fighting over this one as pick 1A. I'm very high on Jourdain here. He's a very exciting fighter. A few fights ago, he absolutely dominated, landed a "This is Sparta" kick right at the end. Fake stat, but I'm going to say it's the only UFC one that landed like that. There's a teep to the chest, but he pushed him back in the air about 5 feet. He had a close fight out with Burgos. I think I remember scoring it for him, but that might have been a better bias. I probably need to rewatch that fight. This has a ton of fight of the night potential written all over it. Two guys that are down to throw. Wood is a very exciting guy out of England. Brits have been on an absolute run lately, other than Aspinall with the fluke injury, which was tough to see. I think I'm going to bet 100% with my heart here and take Jourdain because I'm very high on him, but I'm notoriously bad for betting with my heart. So I would take Nathaniel Wood and fade me on this one just because I'm betting with my heart.
All right. Sounds good. And yeah, shout out to the judges in Long Island that night for respecting me, the Shane Burgos, because he was the piece of my parlay I needed. And I was like, wow, I really don't think he won that fight, but he had the back control and the judges were not scoring damage that night. Shout out to them. But Keen, would you like to introduce our next topic?
Yeah, so we're going to hop into a draft here. If you don't know what the draft are, we're going to throw out an MMA topic every week, and we're going to go back and forth drafting our favorites. This week's topic is going to be the most electric walkouts of all time. Paul, do you want to start us off with your first pick?
Yeah, I'll start with my first pick. This was a big deal at the time. Conor McGregor at UFC 189 versus Chad Mendes for the interim featherweight title, walking out with the live sing-along with Sinead O'Connor singing The Foggy Dew. I mean, place was electric. It was like peak Conor, peak momentum, everything going. Place was packed, everyone singing it. Sinead O'Connor singing it, him getting in the ring. the fight looking tough for him and him coming back and securing a great victory. So I picked that as my best walkout of all time.
For my first pick in the most electric walkouts all time, I'm going to go with Diego Sanchez being an absolutely crazy person, walking out with the crucifix, worshiping the devil, doing some type of satanic ritual on his way out to the ring. One of the weirdest walkouts of all time, but it's got to be up there as my favorite. Just absolutely insane. Shows who Diego Sanchez is. Just a very out there person, but fun to watch every time.
Yeah, you got to appreciate the wild men that this sport gives you, like Diego Sanchez. They are just the best, and I'm always here for the entertainment factor of them. But from my second pick, I went with, a fighter I'm not really the biggest fan of, especially personality-wise, but I just think this walkout is great, and it's, like, perfect for his whole personality. I picked the Colby Covington, Kurt Angle, You Suck walkout. If you haven't seen it, it's like the classic. He's just walking out, and it's Kurt Angle's WWE team, which I also don't watch at all, so I don't care about that aspect. But it's cool for him, gets him some fans. It's just like perfect for the villain to walk out to people chanting "You suck," gets him pumped. He's in the zone every time. The fans are chanting "You suck." He loves it. He loves being the villain so much, and there's never been anyone in the UFC besides like maybe Conor that likes being that much of a dick. So that would be my second pick.
Nice. With my second pick of most electric walkouts all time, I'm going to go with the last style bender, Israel Adesanya, with his cartwheel emoting walkout right before the Whitaker's first fight. He went to claim his title. He did a full dance routine. Was it cringe? 100%. Was it cool? Also 100%. If he lost that fight, he would have looked like top 5 idiot all time. Ended up winning by KO. One of his last exciting fights that we've seen other than Paulo Costa. But it was a great walkout, and it was fun to see. So I will take that with my second pick.
All right. And with my third pick, I hate this because I picked all mainstream fighters, and I'm going to be picking another one because I just really love the tune. I think it fits him so well. I'm going with Dustin Poirier, Walking Out to the Boss by James Brown. I just think this is like a perfect song pick for him. Paid the cost to be the boss. That is the ultimate fighter who has paid the cost. He's taken losses, reassessed, come back, made adjustments, came back and beaten people who have beaten him, and really like earned himself a nice spot in the MMA world. He's had a couple title shots, but he's also had losses like on the brink of a title shot at featherweight, or coming up to 155, having a nice run, being stopped by Michael Johnson, coming back from that. I think his song fits him perfectly, and it's just a great song, and I love it.
Nice. With my last pick in the most electric walkouts all time, I'm going to go Mike Perry when he wanted the video game Halo theme song, but ended up getting Halo by Beyonce. One of the funniest moments in all-time MMA, he comes out and he goes, "What the fuck is this?" yelling, and then he ends up singing with the Beyonce song, ends up loving it. DC's losing his mind laughing. One of the all-time funny moments of a UFC. So I'm going to take that with my last pick.
That's a great pick.
Moving into our next segment, we're going to go with our fry picks of the week. If you don't know what our fry picks of the week, these are picks that are not in the Vegas books. Hopefully one day we can get them there, but we're just having a little fun with what we see happening on this card, and we'll put a fake number next to them to see how likely they are. I'm going to start us off, and I'm going to go that we're going to see a shoey here. It's kind of a long shot. It's coming in at plus 450, but if Tuivasa wins this fight, it's almost a lock that we're going to see a shoey. And again, betting with my heart here, I want to see one very badly, so we're going to put that bet down at plus 450.
All right. I'm going to be making an audible. I have something written down, but I'm going to be changing that slightly. So if you watch any of the embeddeds for Gane versus Ngannou, you're going to know this. I'm going to go with Cyril Gane to be playing FIFA during fight week. This man is addicted to FIFA. He does pro clubs, which is like you can play with your friends and stuff, and he's like ranked top 50 in the world or something. So I'm going with Gane to be playing FIFA at about plus 250 because I don't know if they'll capture it, but I can bet you he will be playing it during fight week.
I like that pick a lot. With my second Fry pick this week, I'm going to go Marvin Vettori to clearly lose in a decision, but he genuinely thinks that he won the fight at a plus 230. I think we've seen this happen multiple times, especially with his Izzy fight. He lost all 5 rounds, not a question, and genuinely thinks he won that fight still to this day. Absolutely insane. So I love this bet coming in at a plus 230 line.
Yeah, that's a lock. Like, if he loses, he is absolutely going to think he won, no matter what he does. He could sit against the cage and have a bloody face, and Whitaker's perfectly clean. He's going to think he won the fight. So I might be a max play. My second pick of the week. If you have TikTok like me, unfortunately I do. I know that says a lot about me as a male, but I'm going with Charles Jourdain to post an anime TikTok during fight week, minus 200. If you look at his TikTok, he loves anime. He's addicted to it. He loves posting about his kid and being a UFC fighter, which, come on, how could you not? That's pretty sick. But I'm going to be lining at minus 200. He's always posting anime TikToks, loves him some Dragon Ball, loves him some Naruto. I think that's the lock.
Nice. With my last Fry pick this week, I'm going to go with Joaquin Buckley to attempt an insane kicking technique. He does not have to land. He just has to attempt. This coming in at a minus 120. I like this line. He likes to get crazy.
All right. So.
Got me.
All right. Hello?
Hi.
All right. We were having some technical problems. Sorry about that. So, for my last Fry pick of the week, I'm going to be going with Tai Tuivasa to walk out to Barbie Girl. This is the last walkout. I'm putting in minus 125, and I think there's a good chance this hits. He loves himself a nice walkout. In the past, he's done Britney Spears. He's done Barbie Girl. A couple other songs in there too, but I really like this. I think it will hit. He's on a roll walking out to Barbie Girl, so why switch it up? And I'm excited to watch that fight.
All right. Before we close this episode out, we both got sucked into watching some celebrity boxing this weekend because nothing was on. And we're just going to go over our thoughts on the KSI card that was on DAZN. Illegally streamed it, was never paying for that. Arrest me. Yeah, I don't know how the professional boxer was the least skilled boxer on the entire card. I think I could have knocked him out, and that's saying something. Yeah, I mean, it was honestly very exciting to watch. It was very fun to watch. I can't shade too hard, but yeah, I mean, it was fun to watch, but it was embarrassing. The last fight was embarrassing, but yeah, we'll see how these keep going. I'm not sure how they made too much money on it. I'm not sure if many people bought it, but it was big on Twitter. It was big on Twitter, and it sucked me in. What are your thoughts about it, Paul?
Yeah, as an actual boxer, like, I know you like watching here and there. I actually like boxing. Like, I followed a good amount. I follow a lot of the fighters. It just hurts me to see like guys like, I was gonna say Salt Poppy, but he's actually at least kind of skilled, so I'll give him some credit. But like some of these guys, man, like that Pineda guy, he's the actual pro boxer, and he is horrible. Horrible. He had a reach advantage, I believe, or it was like close, and he looked like the longer guy, and he didn't throw a jab. I think all I remember him throwing was like a right hand. It didn't land at all. His punches were awful. He was slow. He was from a lower weight class. Like, he was from 130 pounds, but he had no hand speed, no aggression, nothing. Just grabbing, complaining about shots to the back of the head. And when you're boxing, you're told to like brace your abs, or any like combat sport where you're getting punched, you're supposed to like suck in, brace your abs, and like take the punch, not turn away from it. And if you're turning away from punches, you're gonna get hit like right behind the ear or in the back of the head. So you can't complain about that. It's perfectly legal. KSI is gonna act like he's George Foreman for beating 2 people on the same night, but he is not. They were both 2 of the worst opponents. Like some guy in London probably beat 2 better people on that night in the street, in an alleyway somewhere. He probably won a better fight than KSI. Yeah, wasn't really impressed. There was like Devin the Dude. Maybe that might be a rapper too. I don't know. There was some dude, Dell, on the card that looked all right. Don't know his name. He was all right, like second fight. Salt Poppy actually had some hands. That man was kind of impressive. Like he's better than Pineda. Salt Poppy's way better than Pineda. Weight aside, better technically, better. That dude has some serious power. Like for whatever weight class he is, he has some pop. Trying to think what else to say. It was nice, like growing up watching like FIFA YouTube and stuff. It was nice to see Deji win because he's just been absolutely viciously clowned on social media, which is kind of funny. And also like just pan people going, dude, you gotta retire. So it was nice to see him get a win, and it was nice to see one of these people who like go all in on strength and conditioning and like zero boxing training lose in FusiTube. So you actually need to work the technical skills to be good at boxing or any combat sport, not just strength and conditioning. Overall, would not have watched it if LFA was on. I'd watch LFA. But Keen sucked me in. He said, "Oh, this is on today. Nothing else is on." Thought the one card was Saturday. It was Friday. There were two cards on Friday for some reason. And yeah, sadly, I watched it. It was all right. It was for entertainment value. It was like a sneaky 8 out of 10. But like I was sitting there in shame, like this is awful. Why am I watching this?
Also, shout out Sam Hyde for keeping the character going before and after the fight. Not sure how he did that. I thought he was legitimately going to murder someone. Said he was going to stalk him outside his house. All-time clip. Thought that was hilarious.
He still might.
If you know his personality, you know that's hilarious. If you don't, you're creeped out, which is even more funny.
Yeah, and that's going to be the end of our show, I believe. So thank you all for tuning in. We might add a couple technical difficulties with audio throughout, so we apologize for that. The boys may be looking to move towards a setup at some point. Not sure when, but we'll keep you updated on that. And thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you made it this long, you're an absolute legend. I appreciate you, and I will see you next week.